eating uncustom. Garnish button. Space. Please garnish button. Space.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Top of the time zone. I'm Alan C. You're with Johnnie J in the house, here on the Intervision FM universe. You're not going to want to miss today's podcast. Brought to you by Bonefields Foundation, Chinook Foundation, Christian Brothers Moving Company, Englewood, Colorado. Also, Richard Damiano of the Littleton Eye Clinic. Stay with us.
Oh my God.
That's who we love, and that's who we serve.
Is it running now? Yeah. Hi, everybody. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown. I tell you, this business is on. My man is on. Check him out. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown saying stay with it and hit it. Okay, thank you very much.
How dare you?
There we go. I think we're up.
It's Tuesday. It's up. We're up. It's Tuesday.
It's Wednesday. Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, man.
Hey, hey Siri, what's the date, man?
And that's a beat check.
It's 4:04 p.m. somewhere in the world.
Oh, yes.
Is it, man?
Hey, do you if the city of Denver wasn't worse enough, they're contemplating giving the city workers furloughs and hiring the military age illegals that are here.
Oh, the undocumented migrants who happen to be here, who happen to be working with a advantage of being also military aged, do happen to fit the bill for this furlough. So they would take the place of oh man, my puppy's happy about that. He's
Yeah.
happy about that.
Yeah, you see what I'm doing? I'm just hooking up my light because I forgot to hook up my light. It's like all these things you got to remember when you're doing a live show. Yeah, they're thinking about and they said, and if the president, well, I guess they tried that in California, and surprisingly enough, Biden says no, we'll take you to court if you do that.
Wow.
And Hickenlooper was on TV saying, well, if they decide to do that, we'll just spend money and fight it. So you're gonna spend money you don't have, that you said that you have to reduce hours of these city workers,
Right.
to fight something that's illegal. And it's just like upside down, totally. So here in Denver, the insanity rules and craziness rules. So it seems like and when you hear what Reagan has to say, and you're going to say, "What?" You say, "Wow, they were thinking this thing way back then," and yes, they were thinking that way back when. So it's like so yeah, the silliness goes on, or as Sonny and Cher would have said in their 1965 song, "The beat goes on." Yeah. I love it. Oh, so also, let's see. Also, what was that other thing I was thinking about?
Oh my God.
No. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about something else.
I was thinking about God. I was thinking about God.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was yeah. But like, okay. Now, in Genesis 1:29, it talks about like, he says, "Hey, this should be your meat, the fruit and the vegetable in the garden and stuff like that. That was feed you."
Right.
Now, Google Gemini AI has now given us permission to have each other for ribeye steaks.
Oh, good. No, no, no.
I like what and I like what you said before. It's like if you eat a vegetarian, would that be like a little bit better meat? And I'm thinking like, only if the grass fed, you know.
Grass-fed vegetarians.
Yeah. Because they seem like they say like if you have grass fed beef, which I somewhat agree with, it. Grass fed beef is better than sawdust fed beef.
Right, right.
In my opinion. If you're gonna go that direction, and then what are these artificial salmons that eat the other
Well, the
the real
Franken-salmons, I don't even
yeah
know what they call those
yeah
things.
yeah I
Frankenfish?
think a real salmon is better than a salmon that will eat anything in its path, including another one of his kind, or maybe one that looks like his kind but not his kind.
That is some crazy stuff that these fishes were created initially to be part of the food chain. They weren't supposed to be able to reproduce, and here they are reproducing. They weren't supposed to really do much in the way of hurting the environment. They end up being gosh, I can't remember the word, but basically it's a member of the species that exists for the only purpose is to take the members of its fellow species out, really.
Hmm.
What it boils down to is even what these frankenfishes are starting to do is to take out the regular population of the salmon and curtail the run. But it's quite interesting.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So they put tenderizer and barbecue sauce to make make I guess the ribeyes like more moisture or more flavor, or cook them rare or
Yeah.
whatever. But what they're gonna do when it comes down to the human? I mean, can you imagine? Like I had to roast our cousin this afternoon because we were running out of meat. I, I
No,
could
I could just see that. I wouldn't be any good eating because all I've been eating was TV dinners for the past 6 months. So I don't think I'd be any good. But
It's a bit no, it hasn't been that long, has it?
oh, I don't know,
No, six.
three
No,
months.
it's 3 months.
It,
Oh
it,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it feels like 6 months. All
yeah.
right, 6 weeks.
Yeah, man. It's like, oh yeah, TV. And I didn't even know they even made those anymore.
Yeah,
It's like, wow.
they make some Salisbury steak and they make some
So
some chicken.
the menu hasn't changed.
No,
Wow, okay. Now I used to love like Popeyes. Put those in the
yeah,
oven, get those things browned a little bit around there. Now,
yeah.
um, we put the apple pie and because we got this like really natural apple pie and we put that in the oven. My wife
Yeah.
was complaining. She said like because it was bubbling up, and she said that's gonna get on the stove, so she wanted me to put foil in it over
Okay.
the top. Do not put foil on the top because that totally cuts out
That,
the crispiness
yeah,
of the
that ruins it.
crust.
That'll ruin it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did it once and I don't know what I was thinking, but it's like, and then I had to
Yeah,
put it back in the,
just put it on a cookie sheet,
yeah, I mean,
let
that's
the
all
cookie sheet catch it.
yeah. So I told her, I said, hey, next time we just have to put in a cookie sheet because it's just totally cutting out the
Yeah, buddy.
crispiness of that crust.
Yeah,
And you
buddy.
got to have that, come on.
Yeah, can't miss
So,
that.
so just for you beginner cookers, hey, no, foil is good for some things, but not for everything. Oh man. And never microwave it. That that doesn't work at all. That
Can't say
definitely
as
doesn't
I've
work.
ever microwaved a pie before, but
Now,
yeah.
I think they have this ones with the paper place you could microwave a pot pie, but I don't think that works either
Oh wow.
because it's still microwaves can't come out. It can't make it crispy. It's just something about cooking it from the inside out just doesn't bring it there. You got to have that heat all the way around it. So,
Now, strange thing, I used to sell these protein bars, and if you put them in the microwave for 5 seconds to 7 seconds, no longer, 5 to 7 seconds,
mhm.
and things, they poofed up. They got real big. You know, but if you put them for any longer than 7 seconds, they tasted and smelled like burnt rubber tires.
Oh man. So what does that say? Like, wow, it's like, is it something within it? Because I heard
Yeah,
you can leave so many insect body parts in candy. Oh man.
yeah, I have
Oh
no
yeah.
idea
Hey,
what this thing was made with, but it was
i-
interesting.
in some places it's breakfast time, in some places it's dinner time.
Right.
So if we're giving you like make you a little bit less hungry, um, yeah, yeah. But let's listen to a little bit of this. I should have paused it like towards the part where it was, and we're gonna stop and go with this. We're gonna pause it and stop and talk about it. So anytime you have something to say, just interrupt it, and then I'll pause it right away. Because I want to get through as much as well, at least the first 11 minutes as we can. All right. So anyway, let's hear this Reagan.
The following pre-recorded political program is sponsored by TV for Goldwater Miller on behalf of Barry Goldwater, Republican candidate for President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, we take pride in presenting a thoughtful address by Ronald
Blah, blah,
Reagan.
blah, blah, blah,
Mr.
blah.
Thank you very much. Thank you and good evening. The sponsor has been identified, but unlike most television programs, the performer hasn't been provided with a script. As a matter of fact, I have been permitted to choose my own words and discuss my own ideas regarding the choice that we face in the next few weeks. I have spent most of my life as a Democrat.
More options.
I recently have seen fit to follow another course. I believe that the issues confronting us cross party lines. Now, one side in this campaign has been telling us that the issues of this election are the maintenance of peace and prosperity. The line has been used, we've never had it so good.
Now, if you didn't catch that, he used to be a Democrat, then he changed to a Republican. Don't you see similarities with Trump and Reagan? So let's
This is
continue.
1964 as well.
Yeah, yes, 1964.
But I have an uncomfortable feeling that this prosperity isn't something on which we can base our hopes for the future. No nation in history has ever survived a tax burden that reached a third of its national income. Today, 37 cents out of every dollar earned in this country is the tax collector's share. And yet our government continues to spend $17 million a day more than the government takes in.
Doesn't that sound familiar? Now I think we get to take home now a little bit more. I think we take home like 43% of our dollar we get to take home.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it was even worse back then, if you could believe that. But okay.
We haven't balanced our budget 28 out of the last 34 years. We've raised our debt limit 3 times in the last 12 months. And now our national debt is 1.5 times bigger than all the combined debts of all the nations of the world.
Okay, now our debt is $33 trillion. Now that was just 1% more, yeah. So it's yeah, we're getting up there.
We have $15 billion in gold in our treasury. We don't own an ounce. Foreign dollar claims are $27.3 billion.
Oh, okay. Gotta remind everybody,
Wow.
in 1972, Nixon, our Republican president, took us off the gold standard so we wouldn't have to match dollar per gold per dollar per dollar. So then we could just
Right.
go ahead and print money. And then it really ramped up in 2008 in printing out money that we really didn't have any gold standard to. So, okay. A little bit of history. Oh, and leave your comments below there or info@intervisionfm.com, info@intervisionfm.com, and support our share, like, and share the show. Share, like, and support our show. Cash App, Intervision J.
And we've just had announced that the dollar of 1939 will now purchase 45 cents in its total value. As for the peace that we would preserve, I wonder who among us would like to approach the wife or mother whose husband or son has died in South Vietnam and ask them if they think this is a peace that should be maintained indefinitely. Do they mean peace, or do they mean we just want to be left in peace? There can be no real peace while one American is dying someplace in the world for the rest of us. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Now, you have a lot of Hollywood stars, hip hop stars saying, if Donald Trump is reelected, I'm going to leave America. But they never do it. They never do it.
What amazes me is
Yeah, go ahead.
what amazes me is the folks that prattle on about how we're going to lose our freedoms if a certain thing happens.
Yes.
All of our liberties, all of our freedoms, they're all at risk.
And we're going to lose our democracy. Well, we're going to hear some stuff about that.
Exactly. And the one thing that has always stood out to me is that we are not a democracy in the first place. We're a constitutional republic. And we're the greatest political experiment ever to take place. And, we've been on the planet for close to 250 years. We're coming up on that mark where governments either succeed or, change, basically.
Yes. 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 All right, let's get back into Reagan here.
Government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. In this vote harvesting time, they use terms like the Great Society, or as we were told a few days ago by the President, we must accept a greater government activity in the affairs of the people. But they've been a little more explicit in the past, and among themselves, and all of the things I now will quote have appeared in print. These are not Republican accusations. For example, they have voices that say the Cold War will end through our acceptance of a not undemocratic socialism. Another voice says the profit motive has become outmoded. It must be replaced by the incentives of the welfare state. Or our traditional system of individual freedom is incapable of solving the complex problems of the 20th century. Senator Fulbright has said at Stanford University that the Constitution is outmoded. He referred to the President as our moral teacher and our leader. And he says he is hobbled in his task by the restrictions of power imposed on him by this antiquated document. He must be freed so that he can do for us what he knows is best. And Senator Clark of Pennsylvania, another articulate spokesman, defines liberalism as meeting the material needs of the masses through the full power of centralized government. Well, I, for one, resent it when a representative of the people refers to you and me, the free men and women of this country, as the masses. This is a term we haven't applied to ourselves in America. But beyond that, the full power of centralized government, this was the very thing the Founding Fathers sought to minimize. They knew that governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose.
Do I hear Bill Gates? And when he had in his speech saying that we're going to have to either inoculate or do other things to
Or-
people, or what, Planned Parenthood people out of the earth.
Yeah, relieve them of their breathing privileges, as it were.
Yeah, so
Hey,
yes.
quit now. Hey,
And
quit now.
once again, I want to remind you that this is a speech that our President Ronald Reagan, our 40th President Ronald Reagan, made in 1940. No, I'm sorry, 1964. While President Johnson, another Southern racist guy, was in office, and he started this welfare thing that, and he's going to talk about this. So let's get back into this. All right.
They also knew, those founding fathers, that outside of its legitimate
Close.
function,
More option. Reaction.
government
More
does
option.
nothing
Record button
as
menu.
well or as
A item.
economically
Summary button.
as the
Share.
private
Shares.
sector
More
of the
option.
economy.
Open chat panel. More options.
Now,
Close.
we have no
Open
better
participant.
example of this than government's involvement in the farm economy over the last 30 years. Since 1955, the cost of this program has nearly doubled. 1/4 of farming in America is responsible for 85% of the farm surplus. 3/4 of farming is out on the free market and has known a 21% increase in the per capita consumption of all its produce. You see that 1/4 of farming?
Security
That's
button.
regulated and controlled by the federal government. In the last 3 years, we've spent $43 in the feed grain program for every dollar bushel of corn we don't grow. Senator Humphrey last week charged that Barry Goldwater, as president, would seek to eliminate farmers. He should do his homework a little better, because he'll find out that we've had a decline of 5 million in the farm population under these government programs. He'll also find that the Democratic administration has sought to get from Congress extension of the farm program to include that 3/4 that is now free. He'll find that they've also asked for the right to imprison farmers
No
who
button.
wouldn't
Yes
keep
button. No
horses
button.
prescribed by the federal government.
Save. Zoom.
The Secretary of Agriculture asked for the right
Stop. Audio setting. Muted.
to
Annotate
seize
button.
farms through condemnation and resell them to other individuals. And contained in that same program was a provision that